For this part of our company project, we will be going over the STEPLE analysis. The STEPLE is a very important analysis in order to determine the macro-environmental factors that would impact the company, either negatively or positively. And it is important to determine of which ones the company would be most influenced by. Sociocultural. Socioculture is a very important one because it deals with people. Dealing with the people in the proper way is by knowing the people. Demographics deal with things that are known, like income, race, geography, whereas psychographics are more of a how they feel, who they are exactly. So I'm going to go through this part now. And the first part is that communication is absolutely a necessity. Without communication, jobs can't get done, people can't acquire jobs, and there is a need for people to constantly have that connection with another person. It's a born human trait, and it's normal. Second off, there's quicker access to information, meaning that people are not willing to wait anymore. They need their stuff quick. They want to be able to search on their phone. They want to be able to Google anything at any time. And so that's very important to consider as well. And another thing is, when time is wasted, there's a higher opportunity cost now in the modern times than there were in the olden days, just due to the fact that there is more emphasis on the time available now. And of course, psychographics deal with people's need to feel secure, as well as their need to be able to have their own freedoms and privacy. And with that, the company would be influenced by authoritarian governments. If Sprint were to move into a international market, moving to a country like China, the information would be highly monitored by the company and the country, and this may run into issues for them as well. Whereas also the recent scare with San Bernardino and the terrorist scares, and how terrorism nowadays is spreading through social media. And how are most people getting on social media? That is via the cell phone network, the phone. Not as many people constantly check their computer, whereas everyone constantly checks their phone if they do have one, in fact. Emerging technologies. It is important for them to keep up and be able to adapt to the emerging technologies within cell phones as well. Because as cell phones go quicker and have an ability to store more data and process more data, people are wanting to acquire more data and use that data. Limiting the geographical market infrastructure. That occurs when Sprint wants to go into a global market and there is a lack of infrastructure where they're unable to, basically. And that is actually a key topic, whereas the infrastructure within the United States is lagging behind. It's actually, I believe we got a B- from a recent report that came out for our infrastructure, the U.S., as we think that our infrastructure would never be such a thing, but it is lagging behind some of the advanced world. And technological also relates to our customer service capabilities. Sprint was able to recently reduce costs by laying off some customer service workers due to advanced technologies within a customer service app. Now people are able to instantly fix a problem or instantly be able to communicate without having to lag behind. Economic is extremely important, and it both has disadvantages and negative disadvantages and positives. Currently, potential currency disadvantages and advantages are in absolute. For instance, the U.S. dollar is lower at this time, which means our exports are greater and our imports are less because it costs less. And this occurs, and this would help with advancing to an emerging market such as Canada, where the Canadian dollar is higher currently. The euro is higher than the dollar, and also in the UK, where the pound is extremely higher than the dollar. Disadvantages would occur in Japan and China, where currency manipulation has driven down their currency rates, which hurts local businesses. But this is also hedged by the fact that Sprint is 80% owned by SoftBank, which is a Japanese conglomerate telecommunications company. Also, the United States has the second highest corporate tax rates in the developed world. The second highest, and that takes a key bit of profit away from companies when they do make a profit, which reduces their ability to reinvest in the company and develop and grow. And this is a huge factor for Sprint. Currently, Sprint has a B+ long-term credit rating. Credit ratings are extremely important in order to attain long-term financing options. And these options are important for growth, for stability, and for continuous development. The cost of living in Kansas, Overland Park, Kansas, is their headquarters, and the cost of living is the 8th lowest in the United States. This saves a great deal of money rather than having a headquarters in New York City or in LA, where the expenses would be much, much higher. Currently, political and legal actions are a key factor for the company and for any company in the global economy currently, due to the mass differences between the presidential candidates for each party, the likely presidential candidates for each party. Currently, as it sits today, there are two main candidates that have a shot at being the president of the United States, and that is Donald Trump from the Republican ticket and Hillary Clinton from the Democratic ticket. And the differences are extreme. Both would believe in infrastructure for the world, so for the U.S., and that's something that we should point out. But with another thing is that tax rates. Corporate tax rates would be reduced, hypothetically, with the Republican ticket, and that would help Sprint with the competing. Also, reduction of tax rates may hurt the ability to properly fund infrastructure developments for the world, for the United States. And global trade agreements. Global trade agreements are very crucial in that emerging markets, Brazil and Middle Eastern areas are very, there's emerging markets, mass emerging markets, but yet it will be difficult for entry with the current global trade agreements in progress now. Donald Trump believes in removing them, whereas Hillary Clinton stands by them, and they have both benefits and negatives. Environmental is a huge issue that's occurring in the world due to global warming and different things that's happening within the environment. And some customers put a greater value on those that believe they are environmentally friendly. Currently, Sprint was 19 on the EPA 2010 Green Power Partner list from the Fortune 500 companies. Number 19 is an extremely monumental achievement, which shows that the company is not only following the push for going green, but they are excelling and leading the way. And the model that Sprint falls by is reducing our footprint and helping lead the way for others. In this, they are a global leader in environmental studies, which means they could stay above regulation, which means they could help the company succeed with the external factors. And sustainability can save a company tons and tons of money. By that I mean renewable energies. Initial upfront costs are very expensive, but yet over time they become much, much cheaper than the olden way of producing energy for a firm and or operations. The ability to harness as much energy as possible without limiting the waste really helps a company to excel and to not waste.